All right, so this is a behind the scenes, step by step walkthrough of a real client's journey inside the program, start to finish. We chose this client on purpose because she represents a normal experience. And normal needs to be normalized way more than it is. Everyone likes to show highlight reels like biggest raises, fastest timelines, cleanest outcomes. And yeah, we have those too. But most people live in real timelines with real stress, real families, real nervous systems. So we'd rather show you the everyday, middle of the road experience so you can see what this actually looks like. We don't pretend everyone gets massive raises or lands roles in 2 weeks. That's not something we promise, and it's not something we want you to believe. Some people get $40,000 raises, some get $5,000 raises, some land in 6 weeks, some take 5 months. And I think that matters because if you only come in expecting highlight reel results, a normal journey can feel broken when it isn't. And so, even though this is a case study, I want to start by level setting because it may very well be that you have a similar normal experience. So, what we're going to do is walk you through this step by step. I'm going to show you pretty much everything while protecting the client's identity. You'll see what a regular experience looks like. So, first thing that happens after diagnostics and onboarding, we add them to the Slack channel and we get to work creating their resume. The first message here is August 27th, 2025. That's when we started with the first version of her resume. We gave her a Loom walkthrough explaining what we changed and why, and then we sent a Google Doc so we can collaborate. The document also includes LinkedIn guidance. We focus heavily on making recruiters able to find you. Recruiters search LinkedIn like Google. Nobody goes to page 12 of Google, so we work on keywords, headlines, skills, visibility settings, all of that to improve searchability. Now, you can see from her resume the kind of before and after. I know you can't see much, but here's what actually matters. She didn't lack experience. She wasn't underqualified. She wasn't missing big wins. She just sounded smaller than she was. And that's what happens to most people. People write resumes like they're explaining their job to HR instead of showing how they changed outcomes. So it turns into, I did this, I handled that, I was responsible for fill in the blank, which reads like task work, not leadership. And all a resume really does at this level is answer one question in a hiring manager's brain. Is this person operating at the level I need or below it? So we rewrote her bullets using our icons framework: impact, context, outcome, nuance, scope, because that forces your brain to shift. Instead of, I managed a team of X, you're showing, here's what changed. Here's the mess I walked into. Here's the scale. Here's the pressure. Here's what moved because I was there. And that passes the human scan as well as the ATS. So that was step one, and that first version went out August 27th. Next major milestone was September 3rd. During that week, we finalized the resume in LinkedIn and officially launched her campaign. And again, that can be normal. Some people can get us feedback and finalize quickly, and others take a beat longer because, well, life, work, kids, stress, travel, bandwidth. We don't rush this. We'd rather get it right than get it fast. Then on September 11th, we left her a voice note because she received her first response in under 2 weeks. We celebrate those small wins because the process can feel heavy and those moments matter and keep you moving. On September 22nd, her campaign had been running for about 2.5 weeks, and that's when she was introduced to her coach. Now, I'll say this. Today, that happens way earlier. Back then, our process was a little bit different. On September 26th, she shared that she had a follow-up from a role we reached out to for her, and this became her first real interview, about a month into the process. October 3rd, you can see we updated on more traction. Her early signs looked good, and interviews should begin increasing soon based on those early results. On October 13th, we update her and basically say, hey, here are some other people that we heard back from, and we're also rolling out some updates at this point. So we give her a real-time picture of what we're seeing. She responds like, awesome, thanks for letting me know. And she's doing her part on her side too. She was also contacted by another recruiter around this time, but she wasn't super impressed with that experience. But she's glad we're getting traction. And at this point, we're about 6 weeks. Now, the next big message isn't until November 10th. That's almost a full month. So what happens between October 13th and November 10th? Honestly, not a ton. There was traction. Things were moving behind the scenes, but nothing fully converted. It got quieter. And this is the part that usually messes with people's heads because when it gets quiet, you start wondering, well, did I do something wrong? Is this working? Am I the problem? And this is exactly why support exists inside this process. So her coach reached out and said, hey, let's book a support call. Not because anything was wrong, but because this is the normal emotional dip in the process. We wanted to make sure she felt supported, grounded, and didn't start spiraling during a silent season. We basically said, "You've had interviews, you've got traction. Let's look at what we can fine tune and how we can support you better through this part." What's really interesting here, and I love this part, on that support call, when her coach checks in just to make sure she's okay, she mentions that she actually has more interviews happening and feels like an offer might be coming, which is funny because from the outside it looked quiet. It probably felt quiet, but behind the scenes, movement was happening. And this is also important to know. She and her coach had already been working together on interview prep behind the scenes. So by the time these conversations started happening, she wasn't walking in cold. She wasn't guessing. She was prepared. So on November 14th, she comes back and tells us she got the offer. And this is where people think the process is done, but it's not. This is actually where it gets really important. We had her submit the offer through our portal so we could walk through it with her. Her coach worked directly with her, helping her think through the wording, the leverage, the timing, and how to advocate for herself without burning bridges. We track what the first offer was and what you actually end up accepting. So this is our background portal. This is where we see offers that have been submitted and accepted for the month of November at the time of this recording. You can see here we've got a list of all the offers our clients have logged. I'll have some details blocked for privacy, but I want you to see these are real offers in real time. Right here, you can see this offer was marked as accepted. This one is Mary. I'll click into it so you can see that it's actually her record on our side. Her initial offer came in at $111,479. After working through it with her coach and going back to the company right away, she landed at $117,120. She got about a $6,000 bump on the base. Now, that's obviously nice, but one thing we're always reminding people is negotiation is not only about money. There are plenty of other things that matter just as much or sometimes more, depending on your life. For Mary, salary was important, but there was something else that mattered a lot. She is a teenager in high school, and being physically present for him, picking him up, dropping him off, actually being around, is really important to her. The role she was looking at was commutable, but that commute would have cut hard into that time with her son. So what our coach helped her do was negotiate something that for her was just as valuable as the extra $6,000. We worked with her on the language to ask for the ability to work remote until her son graduates from high school. And the company said yes. So now, for roughly the next 2 years, she doesn't have to do that commute. She can be home, present, available for her teenager, and still show up fully in a role she's excited about. She was happy with the base, bonus, and benefits. Melissa, her coach, gave her some additional wording to use, and together they were able to secure that remote arrangement. For Mary, that was a huge win. She accepted the offer and confirmed her start date, January 1st, 2026. And this part is important to normalize. That wasn't an instant start. She works in academia. Hiring moves slower there. Committees, approvals, holidays, everything slows down at the end of the year. That doesn't mean anything went wrong. That doesn't mean it stalled. So again, very normal process, very real timelines, a few hiccups along the way. All right, so she has the offer and a start date, and we're done, right? Nope. Once the offer is accepted, we shift into stabilizing the transition and making sure we hit the ground running in the new role. In Mary's case, there was something really important we needed to address. She had some baggage from her previous role. The environment before this wasn't great, and she carried a lot of that emotional residue with her. Pressure, disappointment, second guessing. If you walk into a new role still carrying all of that, it can absolutely bleed into how you show up. So we brought in another part of her support structure, which is mindset. That's with me. I'm the mindset coach here, which clears out the baggage from the last role. This reset her internal narrative. This helped her step into this new position confident, grounded, and present. And we wanted her to walk into day one without dragging the old story into a new environment. That work is part of why people not only land roles, but stay and actually feel good about them. And then we move into transition planning. So with Mary, we are focusing on, well, what are your first 90 days going to look like? How are you going to hit the ground running? What do you need to do to show up effective? How do you make yourself indispensable in that first stretch? We map that out with you so it's not just accepted the offer, hope it works out. We want you walking in with clarity, what you're listening for, where you can add value fastest, how you're going to build trust and credibility early. So from our side, you can see the full arc: offer, negotiation, mindset, transition plan. Now, look, we could have picked a bunch of different client examples. Some people do get big jumps, some people land $200,000 plus roles. Some have 25 to 30K increases or more, and they move very quickly. But we chose Mary on purpose because we want to normalize what a reasonable, successful job search can look like: a solid role that fits your life, a realistic pay bump, a reasonable negotiation in a reasonable time frame, with support that doesn't stop at "congratulations, you got the job." This is real time, filmed on November 22nd, 2025. You can see the process began on August 27th, 2025. This is what it looks like when a normal, high performing person gets a normal, good outcome with thoughtful negotiation, emotional support, and a real plan for the first 90 days. So I hope walking you through Mary's journey was helpful. If you can see yourself in this, if you want a role that fits your actual life, not just your resume, and you want support through the whole arc, from offer to onboarding to those first 90 days, that's exactly the work that we do.